Fadal.
And SM London UK. Which old or recent muhaddith do you believe is most reliable with regards to his hadith authentication for the layman Muslim?
طيب. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The question comes from our beloved brothers and sisters in the United Kingdom, specifically London. Which muhaddith of past or of present do you feel is most reliable for the layman Muslim to follow? I would definitely say it's a difficult question. And that's because if there is such a muhaddith that I think of, which is the most reliable for the people to follow, the question is how much of his information and books and works are available to the layman Muslim. So even if there was one that I thought or believed or I knew of, what benefit would it be if his works haven't been translated in a massed manner in English? It's of no use, because those layman Muslims aren't reading the Arabic books. They're not reading this 400-page book. So as if the question just outdoes itself. Everyone understand this? And this is one of the issues that we have with regards to the controversy or the criticism or the discrepancies or the disputes with regards to Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala. And all of the books that he wrote and his tashihat and tad'ifat, all of the hadiths that he declared authentic and declared weak, declared fabricated, etc. One of the problems that we have here, those who criticize him or say he was this or say he was that, so on and so forth, who from among his peers or contemporaries put so much information out. You understand what I'm saying to you? So let's say in Arabic, you have a student of knowledge, or a scholar or a contemporary who criticizes Shaykh Albani. Whether he criticizes Albani on a specific issue, juz'iyah, or whether he criticizes Albani's methodology of tashih and tad'if. He makes naqd of his approach. He's mutasahil, he's with the mutaakhirin, he's kada. Whatever the case may be, right? Everyone understand this? But who from that student or scholar or his peers, who has silsila hadith sahihah? Who has silsila hadith da'ifa? Who has irwa al-ghalil? Who has sahih targhib, sahih jam'? All of those books that he put, and he labeled hadith sahih, hasan, da'if, mawdu'. There's a problem. So for hypothetically speaking, Albani's rulings are useless, or they're weak, or they're this and they're that. What do you have to replace them in that volume? As far as the kalam of the ulama and the imma of past and of present, you're going to find it, of course. Ibn Hajar's kalam, mawjood. Ahmad's kalam, mawjood. Ibn Ma'in's kalam, mawjood. Imam Bukhari's kalam, mawjood. But for him to revolutionize it, simplify it, lay it out, put it in alphabetical order, put it in topical order, who's like that from besides Shaykh Albani of the modern era? Let alone, we're talking about Arabic now. Somebody criticizing Albani from Yemen or Syria or Damascus or whatever, Iraq. Let alone in English. So how much information do you actually have for the layman person that's been translated in a mass manner, a mass way? Except for, so as if the question really doesn't suit itself. And if you're frustrated or you don't trust those rulings or the translation of those rulings, or you feel like there's something else bigger or greater or whatever, or other scholars have criticized Albani and students have shown you certain problems, then that has to force you and lead you to do what? Learn some Arabic. Learn ilm al-hadith. Learn a bit more, and you yourself what? Figure it out. If you're frustrated with being at the mercy of a translator or at the mercy of Shaykh Albani, is he right? Is he wrong? Did he go against the ulama? He said as Hassan, Ahmed, Bukhari, Tirmidhi, Daraqutni, all of them said the hadith la yasih. And Albani says, bal huwa sahih. Sahihun bi majmu'i turuqihi. You have to now seek it now. So I think that's the best answer that can be given on this issue. And the layman person who isn't a student of knowledge and who doesn't have the ability to research and discern, it's more than enough for him to read what Shaykh Albani says and go with that. But the problem comes in with the fanaticism. That's where the problem comes in. And you're forcing it upon the next person. This hadith, you have to do it like this because Shaykh Albani said it's authentic. Okay? Another person who studied overseas, and this is a reality, guys. We don't want to get started with any names or people, especially in the UK or America, wherever. The concept of a layman person talking down to a graduate from the Islamic University of Medina. Or a person who studied overseas, he studied in Egypt, he's memorized the Quran, has ijazah and this and that, and then we have some jahil who's barely studied, refuting him, criticizing him, writing against him, saying that he's wrong, he doesn't understand Aqidah, and so on and so on and so forth. That's a huge problem. So this person is being criticized and refuted for not raising his hands or praying like this. He says that the hadith about putting the hands on the chest is shadh, mathalan, as an example. He says it's inauthentic that the Prophet ﷺ placed his hands on his chest. So therefore I place my hands on my navel. And then we have the brother who went overseas to Egypt for a year, or he taught English in Kuwait, or he dropped out of the Islamic University of Medina, he didn't finish the language program, and he says he's a mubtadi'. He's not upon the sunnah because you're supposed to put your hands on the chest. And the dalil is this hadith, and Shaykh Albani said it's sahih. But the brother from Egypt who studied and has an ijazah, he says, I don't believe the hadith to be authentic. I go with the kalam of Funan, and I made the takhrij of the hadith myself. I have not a 50-page PDF about a speaker, I have a 50-page takhrij of this hadith. Everyone understand this? Someone actually uses a PDF usefully. I have a 50-page takhrij of this one hadith, in which I myself, in Azhar University, studied the hadith and referenced the hadith myself. And I hold that this hadith, la yasih an al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this layman person, or this half wannabe student is saying, he's not on the sunnah because he doesn't follow the sunnah, he doesn't place his hands on his chest. Albani says authentic. And he says, I believe that it's what? Inauthentic. That's a problem. But if the layman person says, I read in Prophet's prayer described that the Prophet put his hands on his chest, Albani is a trusted scholar, I respect him, I'm going to follow that. That's what? Amar tayyib. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem comes in the fanaticism. The problem comes in forcing other people to take your taqlidi view. That's a huge, huge problem that we have today. Everyone understand? And it's a world of a difference between the two. A what? A world of a difference between the two. Most people, a lot of people, if not most, laymen, students, whatever you want to call them, they may not even know that there are other scholars of hadith out there. They don't even have a clue. They think that the science of hadith, the word of hadith is just what? It's a reality. It's a reality. So this is a huge problem that we have here. I don't know. Allahu alam.